This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, don't forget to tune in to our YouTube channel. Yeah, we're on board with video, baby. It's 2025, and we're with the trends. But it's more fun to watch, right? We're a video society now, and it's more fun to watch than just to listen. Even though if you're in the car, you're listening, that's great. 10 and 2 and listen away. But if you want to tune in and watch the PR Podcast, you can do that on our YouTube channel. Just search the PR Podcast, and don't forget to put the PR Podcast in front of it. Makes it really easy to find us. Hit that subscribe button and all the other stuff that the streamers say to do, and watch the conversation as well as listen to it. And if you want to be a guest on the PR Podcast, drop us a line, jody@jodyfisherpr.com, or just hit us up on any one of our socials, and we'll see if we can get you on to be a guest in the near future. Now on with our show for today. We've got a terrific guest. Kalie Moore is an angel investor and the founder of High Vibe PR, a boutique communications agency specializing in PR for gaming, Web3, and AI brands. She previously founded an esports PR firm, supported the launch of leading gaming VC firm BITKRAFT Ventures, and she started her PR career helping European startups reach a U.S. audience after she moved from California to Berlin. We're going to get into that. Kalie was named AdAge's Women to Watch in Europe in 2020. Her writing has been published in TechCrunch and in Adweek. Kalie, welcome to the PR Podcast.
Thanks so much for having me on, Jody.
Thanks for dialing in. We know it's late in Berlin where you are, but let's start there. California to Berlin. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's been 14 years since I've been in Berlin. I wasn't in PR when I was in California. I went to college in San Francisco. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, like so many lost souls in their kind of late teenage years. And I was very lucky that I was waitlisted to the law school that I wanted to go to. So I jumped into BizDev for an intellectual property practice of a top law firm. I moved to Washington, D.C., and I hated it. It was 100% not me. So I'm really glad I didn't waste the 3 years in law school and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And I had what I call a quarter life crisis. And I was really lucky that I was able to save up some money during my stint in Washington, D.C. And I never really traveled previous to that time. And I went on a trip basically that ended up being around the world. I traveled for almost 2 years straight, all over Asia, South America, and I pretty much backpacked through Europe. And I came to Berlin completely randomly. I was living in Prague with an artist who was having an art show in Berlin. I didn't think I'd like Germany. I was more of a south of France type of girl. And I came to Berlin, and I don't know if you've ever been to Berlin, but in summer especially, it's magic. And I was here for 2 hours and I said, oh, this is where I want to live. And at the time there was a really booming tech scene just starting up. So I got a job as an entrepreneur in residence at the first accelerator in Berlin. And of course, when you're in more fragmented markets like Europe, people don't want to just reach the German market. They want to reach the US market. At the time, this is 14 years ago, everyone wanted to be in TechCrunch. And because I was from California and San Francisco, I had a lot of reporter friends. And so I just started doing PR almost as a favor, as part of being an entrepreneur in residence. And then I really built my career from, I think, that unique position.
What a great story, and thanks for sharing that. So what are some of because we hear so many people who we're in one industry and get into PR, right? Whether you're a journalist to PR or you're something else and you're your story. What are some of the skills you think transferred well that got you into a place where you could be successful in PR?
Yeah, I think that there are some people who are born with just a natural curiosity, right? And I think there are natural born storytellers too, where you're always trying to find the narrative thread throughout everything. Like I do this in my own life, right? Like what are the overarching themes? What are the threads? Like how do you make sense to a specific audience that you're speaking to. I always, whether it was a kid or a teenager or college years, I was a massive reader. I am chronically online reading the news. And so I think those types of skills, no matter whether you're doing like biz dev, marketing, software skills, translate into PR.
That's great. And so now, I mean, you've done so many things in the world of PR, and really the thread running through them, as I can see, is sort of this entrepreneurial spirit that you've had, starting up so many different things. Tell us, start anywhere, whether it's High Vibe, what you're doing now, or any of the other companies or startups that you've created. Tell us how you sort of plotted those out and got into those.
Yeah, so I think I'll tell you a little bit about my background and how High Vibe came to be. I think is a little bit more of an interesting story because things definitely changed. So after I was an entrepreneur in residence, I went to a number of different startups in Berlin. I was head of comms for a handful that, of course, the startup world. One was acquired, one went under, that type of thing. And then I was introduced to a man named Jens Hilgers, who's considered the godfather of esports, not just in Germany, but worldwide. And he was about to launch a fund. It was the first fund for esports. This was about 9 years ago now. And I'd played video games as a kid, but I wouldn't have considered myself a hardcore gamer. And I definitely didn't know the world of esports. And I met him through a mutual acquaintance. And Jens told me, if you want to check out the esports scene, I'm going to this tournament that I am in Katowice, Poland this weekend. I can give you a ride. You need to come and see this. And I was like, I don't know what esports is. Let's see. And so I took a 7-hour drive with Jens in a rental car where he downloaded the entire history of esports to me. And we got there and it's February in Poland. So it's like, it's below zero. And we get to this arena and there are people just lined up. Like it must have been a 5-hour line in their jackets waiting to get in. And like what I experienced there was fandom like I had never seen before, like even when it comes to professional sports. And I thought like, this is really interesting. And this is a story that I haven't seen told in like mainstream media. And at the time, now there's a lot of different esports publications, but there weren't very many 9 years ago. And so I started working with Jens and he eventually launched BITKRAFT Esports Ventures. I was probably one of the first 2 or 3 hires there. So I really launched the fund with him. And it's funny to think in hindsight, because I remember getting the first raise, which was only 8 million in Bloomberg, which like an $8 million raise in Bloomberg now is like, yeah, this was only 9 years ago, but man, times have changed. And then I ended up doing PR for Jens and BITKRAFT and all the portfolio companies that BITKRAFT had for a couple of years. And then Jens really encouraged me to start my own agency within esports. So I had 2 other co-founders in that. We started the agencies. We basically, from day one, worked with every major esports team. And it was great for a couple of years. Then I had very different opinions on how to scale with co-founders, right? We had a really successful agency. Like we broke 1 million in revenue within our first year, like easily, no problem. But then how do you go from the million to 10 million and what does that look like? We had a lot of differences, which is fine. They ended up buying me out, but with my buyout, I got to build the type of agency that I wanted, and there was no non-compete, so I got to take my clients, including BITKRAFT, with me and my favorite employees with me to start something new. And then I wanted to do something, I still gaming because I love gaming and I think there's huge opportunity in it, but I was interested in some different like subcategories of gaming. We don't do a lot of esports anymore. Much more focused on like UGC or the creator economy. I got really into crypto, like hardcore in 2017. I went to my first DevCon. So we were early movers when it came to Web3 gaming and still are. We work with most of the leading games within the Web3 space. And then of course, any kind of emerging tech that focuses on entertainment. So we're doing a lot of AI work right now.
Incredible. And again, thank you for sharing that story arc, because I think it's so important that people understand sort of the where people came from and how they got there step by step by step. I have conversations with a lot of people who say, well, I want to be this, but they don't know how to fill in the steps in between. And it's sometimes it's as simple as taking that next step forward, like you just described, taking that car ride, that sort of framed up the rest of what you would do and set it all in motion. Do you encourage people to do that kind of thing, to sort of strike out and do something interesting or unusual or unique, just that they're interested in?
Yeah, I think this part's going to sound hippy dippy, but like I really believe in what my manifestation advisor calls pings, and I think it's really our intuition. But if there's something that interests you, whether it's just like what you look at online or what you like to read about, or an opportunity where there's just like sometimes we get that spark, follow that spark. Like that has kind of been the red line through my career, right? Because my career hasn't been a linear path. I don't think most people, unless you're working in corporate America, and or even now with corporate America, there aren't linear paths. So it's just following what really interests you and where the opportunities are. And there's also a lot of hardship. I mean, when breaking up with your co-founders, it feels like a divorce, right? There were tough years in there too. It's just in hindsight, it's the best thing that ever happened to me to really build something completely on my own in a way that I wanted to build it.
That entrepreneurial spirit has also manifested itself in another way with a PR reporting tool that you've created for the AI era called PRcoverage.ai. Am I getting that right?
That is correct. And I'm not sure when this is coming out, but I'm very excited because we are soft launching this next week. So on Monday, the new website and the app launches. We're going to give away 30 days to basically our early access users because we're really looking for other people in the space, in the PR space, to give us their feedback. I like to think of it as just like the Web3 ethos. We're really building in public. Where this started was we use a lot of different reporting tools. I'm sure most agencies do, although you'd be surprised because, of course, we've done a lot of focus groups, and there are a lot of agencies, especially the smaller and boutique ones, that don't have an accurate way to measure their impact. I haven't been a fan of the reporting tools that we've used in the past. One, I think most of them look like they were built in the early 2000s. I think they were, right? But they haven't caught up to what current presentations like kind of software looks like. But also the reporting tools that we use, their metrics are way out of date. For example, we work with a client and we had a great year or a great month, let's say. Like we got them in Variety, we got them in IGN, we got them in Forbes, huge publications. But on the report, it said the estimated reach was 3 billion readers, which is just not accurate in any way, right? So it was really hard to justify those numbers to our clients, just to say, hey, this is what our PR reporting software says. So with the advent of AI, we have a lot of clients who are doing really interesting projects like vibe coding, right? And I am not a technical person by any means. I told you, I thought I was going to law school. I have a sociology degree. But with vibe coding, I learned just enough to be dangerous. So I was able to create the type of tool that I wanted for us internally. And it was really good. We started using it instead of this other software. And then once we validated that and our clients were happy with how our reports looked and the metrics that we were using, I did work with a developer who's also not like a traditional app coder, who also vibe coded, and then we got some additional help. And so we've also created different metrics than you see in the traditional reports. And I think the most interesting metric probably for this audience is we have an AI visibility metric. And we are the only ones that are doing this for coverage specifically. There are a ton of offerings out there if you want to know if your brand in particular is getting picked up by AI. Brand is interesting for us, but as PR professionals, what's more interesting are the articles that we are placing for our clients getting indexed by the different LLMs, and are they getting picked up favorably, neutrally, in what LLMs, and are they helping our clients' reputation score? So we created an AI algorithm that looks at a ton of different things, but the number one thing is that specific article getting picked up by which specific LLMs, and how is it ranking in compared to other articles? So kind of like Moz or domain authority, where there's a 1 through 100 metric, we've built that for AI visibility.
That is, in my opinion, the sort of the key to it's the new Google search,
It
right?
is.
What is getting out there in the form of whether it's press releases or news pickup or feature placements, whatever, AI is learning from all of that.
Yeah.
In the same way that Google learned from it over the last, 20 years. Now it's AI. And so the more you get out there, all of our placements are literally teaching AI what to think about our clients, about subject matter, about everything. And that's why I think it's so important to be paying so close attention to all that. So it's really interesting to hear that you've now built this platform to measure that.
And I also think like we're having a renaissance in PR due to this kind of search engine optimization for the LLMs, right? I think there was a period of time there of like, do people need PR? It's all about founders going direct, which I think has a lot of value. I think founders should be going direct. I'm sure we could dive deep in that if you wanted to. But right now, what is ranking in the LLMs are organic media mentions. And it's not just the higher tier, right? It's not just the Fortune, Forbes, Bloomberg, New York Times. They rank, but a lot of the niche ones, like smaller ones than you'd think, would rank as well. So it's really getting to like better understand the mix of PR and what matters for your clients and where you're going to have the most impact and can you show that. And it's PR and it's the social channels, like specifically Reddit, right? Which is also, I think, really interesting as a PR professional to see what articles, especially if you're in kind of the B2B space, are also getting picked up on the consumer side of Reddit too. There's been a lot of surprises, I would say, in the gaming space.
Great to hear you two getting away from vanity metrics like impressions and ad value,
Yeah.
which we both know are just useless.
Yeah. 20
Just
years old,
useless.
really.
You
Yeah.
you mentioned you mentioned a phrase there, vibe coding, and not sure that everyone who's listening might understand what that is. Could you give us a little explanation?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So vibe coding is now with the advent of the LLMs, you do not have to be a coder. It is actually, I don't want to say it's easy because it's not easy, but it's much easier than it was before. So there's a lot of different tools. We started using like windsurfing, we were told was the best. We have clients that use it for vibe coding. I did not find it to be very helpful. So I started with ChatGPT, which was terrible. If they had an upgrade since then, it's a little bit better, but like it would hallucinate and just tell me things that were like completely wrong. Then we moved over to Claude Code, which was a lot easier to use and more friendly. And it was definitely a learning experience because, like I said, I've never coded before. So it was a lot of trial and error and a lot of frustration. But I think ultimately something that was really positive to do because it made me see kind of what's possible. And I do think, I think it was Sam Altman said we're going to have the first one person $1 billion company. I don't need to be that one person or that billionaire, but the fact that you can take a pain point, which I've been complaining about these types of PR reporting tools for at least 5 years. I even went so far as to 2 years ago start to talk to different development studios of like, can we do this? But the cost was too big for me to take. It was a risk, right? Like I don't know if I wanted to put $30,000 of my own money to see if is this going to work or not. Like we were able to vibe code this. I'm doing a rev share with my developer, so there wasn't payment up front because he really saw the opportunity in this too. So basically, it took a ton of our time, a couple months, on top of the PR agency work, but for all of the different, we have a bunch of different APIs. We use different databases. Like we've probably spent less than 2,000, 3,000 on the technology, which was unheard of a couple years ago.
Really fascinating. So what's coming down the pike here with AI as it relates to PR and measurement and everything?
Well, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot better tools. I think PR coverage.ai is one of those, and just another way that we can show our value to our clients, which, in any kind of competitive industry, we need to do. But I also think it adds an additional level of service that we can provide as PR agencies. Like one of the things that we do for a lot of our clients is what do they want to rank for? And you can reverse engineer it. For instance, like we have a client who's building Telegram games. So we did AI searches for like who are the best game studios building in Telegram, and they weren't ranked. But then we could see what are the listicles, what are the podcasts, where is Claude, Grok, ChatGPT polling from. And then it also gave us new ideas too, because there were some podcasts that we wouldn't have considered for them originally, because I would say they were not like a top 5% podcast. So I wouldn't want to like waste their time. But that's what the LLMs are picking up. And so we were able to like reverse engineer the strategy, and now they're ranking. We did that for ourselves too. If you look at almost any, I don't know if we're on Claude right now, but if you were to search for a Web3 gaming PR agency, we should be number one now. And 2 months ago, we weren't ranking at all, but it's fairly easy to fix that. I wanted to rank for AI PR agencies. So we just did some content in the last week, and we're number 6 on Google right now, organic, of just a couple of pieces of content that we did within a week or two.
Wow, that's amazing. The AI is on the one hand the new buzzword, and it's baked into everything that we do. Yet, is it or isn't it? Who knows, right? I
Yeah.
mean, some of it's just like thrown up there like a buzzword, to make you think that something is new and clean. But it's here, and we have to, one, deal with it, and two, understand how to really use it effectively. Do you have advice for someone who maybe is just starting to dip their toe in, or maybe they're in it but they're lost and they don't know what's going on? Like where should a beginner begin?
Well, that is a good question. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I feel so strongly about this. Like, we see a lot of journalists on X and LinkedIn complaining about like the AI slop pitches. In this one, actually, I feel so old saying this. I'm in this one Facebook group, and a journalist had asked for a quote related to something very specific. And then she posted a couple hours later that out of the 30 pitches she got, 28 said the same thing. So there are 28 publicists who just answered that question in ChatGPT, and everyone uses ChatGPT, I feel like, publicist wise. And so they said the same thing. And she was venting her frustration, and she said, but there are two authentic, actual quotes, right? And so I feel that a lot of the PR tools are to write your pitches or your press releases, which I think is dangerous, and it's just AI slop. So we have a mandate in our company, and we use AI to do the part of our job that we don't like and don't want to do, which to me is accounting. It's reporting. It's that type of work. But we across the company will not use AI to write our pitches at all. Like, I think you can tell it's not just the M dashes or the weird, vocabulary. You can tell when a pitch is written by AI. And I think I don't know if you've hired recently, but we hired for a role, and I got more applications than ever before, and 98% of them were trash because it was all written by AI. They didn't follow instructions. So like the 2% really stood out. And I think we're seeing that more with like media pitching. Like, my cold pitches, I feel, are landing more than they did last year. And I think it's because I'm competing with AI agents rather than real publicists who are spending the time to like listen to the podcast or read all of the articles that reporter wrote to write them a pitch that's really targeted towards them. AI can't really do that yet. Not to mention
Yeah,
the crisis PR. Like, I'd like to see AI try to handle crisis calls. Like, never going to happen.
yeah, exactly right. I mean, we are definitely on the slippery slope of AI right now, and the examples you gave are perfect. Um, let's talk a little bit about women in your space, because I know this is an important topic for you. So I want to hear you talk about it. Women in the gaming space, but also women and how they have to actively adopt AI or risk being left out. You've said.
Yeah. So, okay. This is, I think, super interesting. So, Harvard Business Journal did an article back in February, and it was talking about the gender discrepancy when it came to AI tooling. Like, there was, I think it was 25% less women were using AI than men. And I think, like, I think, as I shared with my example, is from an entrepreneurship standpoint, especially as like a non-technical co-founder, AI just gives you like leaps and bounds of ahead, right? But it's interesting because I think when we wrote you that pitch to be on the podcast, which was a couple of months ago, a new report has come out. And this is a ChatGPT specific report. This isn't like all LLMs, Harvard Business Review. But ChatGPT came out with a report in the last month about usage. And actually, women have now replaced men as top users. But it's interesting because they aren't using it for work, they're using it for personal growth. They're using it to ask advice, and they're using it to ask like horoscopes, which is really interesting. And the users also definitely skew younger too. So I think, well, now, according to ChatGPT, I don't know if it's like this on every LLM, women are using it more, but for non-work related queries, which I think, I think women aren't typically go into the technical fields. I know that is also changing, but to me, I think AI could be a great equalizer because you don't have to be overtly technical to build a product anymore. So I would encourage everyone, all of your listeners, to explore AI, but like particularly women. The women who didn't grow up, doing STEM as a major.
That's some great advice, and I'm so glad you talked with us a little bit about that. Kalie Moore, thank you so much for joining us from Berlin, Germany, on the show here. This is the first time I think we've had a guest from Germany, so thanks for dialing in. We are not done with you yet, however. We are going to segue now into the rapid fire question portion of our podcast. This is where we steal a page from inside the actor's studio. We ask our guests a series of rapid fire questions meant to elicit a simple answer, maybe a laugh or two. With your indulgence, Kalie Moore, let's begin with rapid fire question number 1. What is your favorite news source?
The New Yorker.
Love it. Anything local there in Berlin?
Handelsblatt. My German is still terrible, but Handelsblatt has a great English business section.
That's awesome. Rapid fire question number 2. What's your favorite social media platform?
Crypto, Twitter, X.
Rapid fire question number 3. Coffee or alcohol, or insert any local beverage if you want.
Single shot latte with cow's milk.
Love it. Rapid fire question number 4. What's your favorite on the run food?
Ooh, that's a good one. There's been an explosion of Chinese, like spicy Chinese noodle places in the last couple of years in Berlin, and I'm still obsessed.
Now I'm hungry. Rapid fire question number 5. What do you want to be after you finish this career?
Can I tell you, when you sent over the rapid fire questions a couple days ago, I've been thinking about this specific question 24/7, and I have so many answers to it. But honestly, I think I'm going to start a marijuana gummy business in Europe. We don't have, I mean, the laws are changing somewhat similar to how they change state by state in the States, but we don't have any brands like Camino or Wild here yet. So I think I'll make a physical product next.
That sounds interesting. Love to follow the tale there. Kalie, this has been a great conversation. Please let people know how they can find you online.
Yeah, of course. You can find me at Kalie Moore at LinkedIn, at X. Also check out highvibepr.com. And then please, especially if you are a PR professional, which I'm assuming most of the people listening to this podcast are, please check out prcoverage.ai. As I said, we're going to be launching next week. It's a soft launch. We really want feedback. We're giving it away for free for the first 30 days. And also, if you email me, Kalie at highvibepr.com, with your feedback, we're happy to extend the trial. I really want this to be a tool that works, especially for boutique agencies, because we're going to be pricing it much lower than the other tools out there, because I think freelancers and boutique agencies need to show their impact as well.
Sounds good. And this podcast is dropping on your launch day. So as of today, if you're hearing this day of publishing of this podcast, your website is live there. So let's reread that URL. It is prcoverage.ai. Go there, check it out, and let Kalie know what you think.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate your time.
Fantastic, Kalie. We appreciate your time too. And thank you everyone for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The PR Podcast, and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Apple. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.